Hello, my name is Mary, and I'm here on behalf of NAMI Forsyth, Dawson, and Lumpkin counties.
Hi, my name is Bonnie, and I belong to NAMI.
I've worn both hats, both the consumer hat and the family member hat. My oldest son has a depressive disorder, and my daughter has a bipolar disorder. These are grown children, and it's really hard to get treatment for them, especially if they're grown and they don't think they're sick. Then myself became ill with a major depressive disorder. I'm not sure how much of it had to do with my children being sick, but at the same time, I got sick about 6 years ago, and I spent about 4 years in deep depression.
I think the toughest thing about facing mental illness in my family started with my husband, who committed suicide. He was bipolar, but it was so many years ago that I did not know that. I just knew he had an odd personality, but he had the extreme highs and lows. And he threatened suicide for many years, and so when he finally did it, it was an extreme shock, and I was not prepared for it. This was when he and I both were 44 years old. I had a son and a daughter, a son at Georgia Tech and a daughter graduating from high school. And so that we clung together that first year, and then I started noticing signs in my son. He was a senior at Georgia Tech, but he was 23, and he started having very, very difficult communication problems getting along with people. And so I realized that he was beginning to act like his dad, and it was very frightening. And so I knew there had to be something wrong, although I had not admitted that with my husband. And Sonny, his personality completely changed. He became something that he wasn't. Everything that he became the opposite. It was very difficult to get along with. And so my fear was that he would try to kill himself too. And that was probably the most difficult thing about mental illness that I faced. It was the fear that Sonny was going to kill himself and that I was going to experience another death like that. And
My husband suffers from severe major depression, and that is very disabling, not only to the person who has it, but to the spouse and the other family members. So consequently, I felt like I was disabled as well.
And because of that, I've been able to be more active in NAMI, more active in my personal life, more active with my children and their personal lives. And I credit NAMI with giving me the courage and the space to be able to treat a family-to-family course, which I've done several times. And all I can say is that if it hadn't been for NAMI, I'm not sure where I would be right now. And even with the medication, NAMI helped in the recovery more than any medicine could help. It just helped me understand. It helped me know that there are things that are going to go wrong once in a while, and if they go wrong, so be it. I have places to go where I can find out what to do and to make it right again.
And I went on the internet and I searched and I found NAMI. I went to the support group and I found that there were other people who had family members that acted just like mine. They could describe Sonny, his actions, they could describe Frank's actions, and for the first time I realized that they both had mental illnesses, and the symptoms were identical. Frank was bipolar. Sonny had schizophrenia because he had voices talk to him. But that was so helpful, and it was helpful to be around people that was like me, because nobody in my whole life had understood. They didn't understand my husband, they didn't understand my son, and I had nobody. And NAMI just provided those friends, that bonding that people share the same burdens and the same experiences and the same fears. And then they offered me the family-to-family class. And when I went to the family-to-family class, now it was like my mind exploded, because every class reveals something new and about mental illness. I mean, I understood biologically what was happening in their brains. I understood why they were unable to control themselves. I understood why medication worked and why they needed it. I understood biologically how the medication worked in their life. I mean, what it did to their bodies. And I was finally able to stop blaming them for being mentally ill.
And someone told me about NAMI, and I went to a meeting and I listened. I found people who felt just like I did, who had family members that had serious mental illness, and they needed help. And we we help each other in many, many ways. And whenever I have had any problems, I call someone in my NAMI group, or when I come to a meeting, suddenly I find ways that I can empower myself and not dwell on the problems. And it has made such a huge difference in my life as well as my husband's.
I'm just happy to be a part of spreading the success that NAMI has to offer these families.
So if you have someone who is suffering, or you are suffering from a mental illness, please call NAMI, N-A-M-I, and get help. You'll be very glad you did. I am.